Good morning, everyone. This is Irish Orteza, and I am with my groupmates, Janine Rose Reyes and Orteza Dario III. Today we will be discussing with you all about the Indonesian literature. But before we proceed with our new discussion, let's have first the recapitulation of our topic last meeting, which is all about the Vietnamese literature. So, what is Vietnamese literature? Vietnamese literature is the literature, both oral and written, created largely by Vietnamese-speaking people. Okay, so that's it with a short background or the recapitulation of our topic last meeting. Now, we have this new topic which is all about the Indonesian literature, and let's explore and be acquainted with the Indonesian literature. Okay, so I will be discussing with you the introduction and the history of Indonesia. So Indonesia is the world's largest island nation. It's stretching from east to west and then some 3,200 miles or 5,120 kilometers on both sides of the equator in the Southeast Asia. At least 3,000 of the country's 13,667 islands are inhabited, and of a population of about 190 million, and then more than 113 million live in Java alone. So most of the Indonesians are Malay origin, though in the East Melanesian influences are common. So that's it with the short background of Indonesia. So the Bahasa Indonesia developed from the centuries old coastal Malay dialect and is the national language, but many other languages continue to be spoken. So about 87% of the people formerly are Muslims. Now, what is this Bahasa Indonesia? Bahasa Indonesia is the Indonesian language and a member of the Malay-Polynesian branch of the Austronesian language family, along with Malaysia and our country, which is the Philippines. So Bahasa Indonesia is a standardized dialect of Malay. It has been used as a lingua franca in the Indonesian archipelago for centuries. Or in short, Bahasa Indonesia is the official language of Indonesia. Okay? So the wide differences in Islamic orthodoxy and practices have an impact on their political activity. So they have this national motto, which is unity in diversity, that expresses one of the modern Indonesia's major goals, which is the development of a sense of national identity, transcending purely ethnic and regional loyalties. Now, what is this? What's the meaning of unity in diversity? The national motto of Indonesia. So when we translated it in their language, unity in diversity means the Bhinneka Tunggal Ika in Indonesia. So it refers to the variety in the country's internal composition, but also indicates that despite all differences in its multicultural society, there is a true sense of unity. So that's it for the meaning of their national motto, unity in diversity. Okay. So some 300 ethnic groups speaking more than 200 languages or dialects. However, they have this or they share a Malay racial heritage. In Indonesian trait of seeking consensus through discussion promotes their national unity. Now, what are some of the traits or the personality of Indonesian people? So Indonesians have been described as first, they are resilient, second, resourceful, third, tenacious, and of course, they are courageous, putting up with life difficulties with very good humor. So the Indonesian character can loosely be generalized as a mix of Muslim, Southeast Asian, and its own indigenous elements. So I think that's it for my part with the Indonesian history. And now I will be giving the floor to my group mate, which is the second reporter, Miss Janine Rose Reyes, and she will be tackling about the historical places significant events and culture in Indonesia. So stay tuned and thank you so much for listening.
Hello everyone, I am Janine Rose Al Reyes and today I will be discussing the historical places, significant events, and culture of Indonesia. Historical places. The National Monument, or Monas as it is also called, was built during the Sukarno era. This 137 meters tall marble monument is topped with flame cut with 35 kilos gold. At the base is a historical museum and a hub for meditation. It was 433 feet tower in the center of Merdeka Square. Central Jakarta was built to commemorate the struggle for Indonesia's independence. Monas was opened to the public in 1975. As you can see in the picture, the flame on top of the tower is covered with gold foil. The next one of historical places is the Pura Bisakin. It's a sanctuary over 1,000 years old and is known as the Mother Temple of Bali, the greatest of all Balinese temples present. The Pura Bisakin, also known as Bali's Mother Temple, for more than 1,000 years has sat 1,000 m up on Mount Agus southwestern slope in the eastern part of Bali. This complex of Hindu temples is the largest, holiest, and most important on the island and miraculously survived the catastrophic volcanic eruption of 1963. The temple surrounded by breathtaking scenery. Bisaking Temple is nestled amid sweeping nice rice paddies, mountains, hills, and streams. The high-set location of Mount Agung gives the temple complex a mystical quality, and for the local Balinese, visiting this temple sanctuary is a truly special pilgrimage. It has a huge staircase leads you up the sacred mountains to many different temples that represent all different types, functions, and status. Today, it serves as a popular destination for visitors to Bali and as a place of prayer for local Hindu people. The next one is the significant events. Indonesia has its fair share for interesting events just like any other country. Starting from 1670 to 1900, when the Dutch colonies bought the entire Indonesia under a single government rule known as the Dutch East Indies. The Dutch East Indies, also called Netherlands East Indies, Dutch Netherlands Oost Indie or Netherland Indie, one of the overseas territories of the Netherlands until December 1949, now Indonesia. The Dutch East Indies was a Dutch colony consisting of what is now Indonesia. It was formed from the nationalized trading post of a Dutch East India Company, which came up under the administration of the government in 1800. The next one is the culture of Indonesia. The culture of Indonesia has been shaped by long interaction between original indigenous customs and multiple foreign influences. Indonesia is central along Asian trading routes between the Far East and the Middle East, resulting in many cultural practices being strongly influenced by a multitude of religions, including Hinduism, Confucianism, and Islam, all strong in the major trading cities. Indonesian culture are very different Western culture as there exists a difference in experience, belief system, hierarchies, religion, notion of time, spatial relations, and much more. Moreover, within Indonesian itself, there exists a multitude of, of different cultures. This makes Indonesia a complex country and therefore an interesting country. The result is a complex cultural mixture very different from the original indigenous cultures. That will be the end of my report. And now, the next reporter will be discussing the literary journey of Indonesian literature. Dario Orquiza.
To start my part about the literary journey of Indonesian literature, I am introducing to you myself. Again, I am Dario Elerqueza III from BSED 3A English. And now, let's proceed to the literary journey of Indonesian literature. Specifically, my topic is all about um, the tale of Indonesia retold by Harold Kortlander, the Gono and Koyo, the story of Gono and Koyo. Everywhere in Java, Sumatra and Celebes, the people know of two men named Gono and Koyo, and whenever they hear of them, they smile. For the name Gono means helpful, and Gono is really a very unhelpful man. And while Koyo's name means rich, Koyo in fact never has any money at all. Whatever he manages to get his hands on, Gono the helpful once helped him lose. It is said that one time Gono persuaded Koyo to go out with him to rob an old Haji. They crept in the night to the old man's house and began to dig a hole under the wall. When the hole was large enough for a man to enter, Gono crawled through. He silently gathered the valuables of the sleeping Haji and handed them neatly on the ground. As Gono prepared to go out, he saw the Haji's colorful robe hanging on a peg. He took the robe down and dressed himself in it. He said to himself, I will soil my new robe if I crawl out of the way I came in. So instead of going through the hole, he went to the door, unlocked it, and stepped out. Koyo, expecting Guna to appear through the hole, was startled. Seeing the dignified robed figure coming out of the door, he thought it was the Haji, and that Gono was still inside. "Ay, the Haji!" Koyo screamed, and leaving the pile of loot where he had placed it on the ground, he began to run. Gono, thinking the Haji was behind him, hastily threw his robe away and fled after Koyo. Because the two of them made so much noise fleeing through the village, the neighbors were awakened, and they came out with sticks and sickles to pursue them. Sukoyo, too, took a deep breath and closed his eyes, and leaped from the ledge. He landed next to Gono, sprawling on the ground. Gono, still waving his arms as though he were swimming, turned in Koyo and said, "You can see now that I was right. The river is not in a flood." The people of the village arrived on the ledge. They looked down and shouted at the two men to come out and take their punishment. In terror, Koyo has also begun to make swimming motions. The villagers, seeing Gun and Koyo swimming this way in the river that had been dry for months, put down their weapons and laughed. They couldn't bring themselves to punish the silly fugitives. So today, whenever a person tries to get out of the predicament by a ridiculous act, someone is sure to say, "Don't go swimming in a dry riverbed." The story Gono and Koyo was an Indonesian story that was retold by Harold Kortlander, an American novelist, folklorist, and anthropologist. This is a story about two boys who make a decision that makes them triggered to escape. But then, when they make a hilarious act that villagers ever seen, it was an excellent skill to escape. The story of two boys Gono, an helpful man based on his name, but he is an unhelpful man, and Koyo, a rich man based on his name, but Koyo is really poor and haven't money or something he has. One time, Gono persuade Koyo to rob the old Haji house. They make a hole to get inside in the house. When Gono was inside of the old Haji house, he silently gets some valuables and the colorful robe of the Haji. He thinks that if he went out to the hole, they make the robe gets dirty. So he went out to the house on the front door, and Koyo was startled, thought that the Haji was behind him, so he ran and Gono through the room and fled after Koyo. When they were on the river and two boys jumped on the river that has no water at all, when the villagers saw them, Gono and Koyo started to act some swimming skills, some swimming lessons, they know, and the villagers got laugh and escape and can escape. That moment someone is surely to say, don't go swimming in a dry riverbed. Gono and Koyo, A Tale of Indonesia. Author, Harold Cortlander. Characters, Gono, the one who persuaded Koyo to steal in the old Haji's house. Koyo, the one who was with Gono. Theme, face your punishment, avoid things that makes you regret in the end. Author's tune, pessimistic and humorous. Figures of speech, hyperbole. I will soil my new robe if I crawl out of the way I came in. And that's all for my part. Thank you for listening.